In this video, we'll be making changes to the index page, that is inside pages book list index. And right here, we have the first div that we are using right now. I will add another div here. Let me just paste it. And all we are doing here is column 12. We have an OR, and I have a div with column 12. I have a table with ID of DT load. This is important. And I'm just displaying the table headers. I think I have an extra div here. There we go. Now, how do we load this table? That table will be loaded using JavaScript. So for that, we'll add a section here, and it will be scripts. We will have the script tag here. We'll give src inside JS. I will create a new JavaScript called booklist.js. Let's add that script file inside the www.root.js. We'll add a new item. We can search for Java here, and let's call this book list. And then let's start working on the JavaScript here. So we'll have the variable data table here, and we'll use the $document.ready function. We'll add a function in here, and we'll call load data table. Let's add this load data table. So we can just copy this, and we'll add a function here, paste that. And what we want to do here is we'll load the variable data table. We want to load it on index. We have the DT load. We can copy this. We'll retrieve that hash and DT load dot we will call data table. This data table has been included with the JavaScript reference that you added with data tables. So .data table will populate a data table on DT load. In here we have few things. We need to make an AJAX call to our API. So for that, right here we need to define the URL, and URL is /API/book. Then we need a type here because this will be a GET request, followed by data type, and data type will be JSON. After the AJAX call, we need to define all the columns that we have to display. So right here, we will have columns, and this will be an array. So right here, the first one will do data, and what is the name of the column? That is name itself, comma, we want to say what width it should occupy. So that will be in percentage. So we can do 30%. We can copy this and paste it 2 more times. We have author here, and we have ISBN. Make sure it follows camel casing. If inside book the variable you had is name, right here you had name ABC, then what you would do is right here, this will be name ABC. The first one should be a lowercase. We only have name, so everything is lowercase right here. After this, the last column we want is edit and delete buttons. So in the last one, the data field that we want is the ID, because when we edit or delete, we need to pass the ID of the book. So we'll have ID here, and we will have a render because we want to render 2 buttons here. So this will be a function, and we will pass the ID. So that's why we'll pass the data which has the ID. In here, what we want to do is we want to return a div with 2 buttons. Since this will be a multi-line statement, we can use the tilde sign and break up the statements. Tilde sign is available right next to the one on your keyboard. Here we'll start with div, give it a class of text center, and we'll add the ending div. Since there is no IntelliSense, you have to do this manually. Then you'll have an anchor tag we'll do href. What we want to do is we want to add an edit page. And right here we will have booklist/edit, and we need to pass the ID. So ID is equal to $, and in here we have the data. So that way we'll be passing the data which has the ID of the book. We'll give it a classes of btn, btn success, and text white. We will also give it a style of cursor, of pointer, and we'll give it a width of 100 pixels. This looks good for our anchor tag, and then in the next line we will add the edit button. We will close the anchor tag here, and we can copy this anchor tag because we want another one for delete. So right here I'll add some space, ampersand and BSP, and we'll paste it one more time. On delete, we do not want to go to any of the URL, so we'll leave the href out right now. We'll have the classes of btn danger, and we'll add an onClick, but we'll do that later. I'll just make it delete, and we'll have the closing div. So this looks good. Then in this render we will add width here, and we'll make it 30%. Outside of this array that we had for columns, we'll do comma, and I will add language here. In here I'll do empty tables. If there is no data, I want to display no data found. We'll do a comma here, and we'll give it a width of 100%. Everything should be in double quotes like this. So with this we have our data table in place. Let me save this, and we need to run our application to see this in action. We already added the code inside the index page. So if we go on book, we will see two tables now. The first one you can see right here, and here is the later one. But here the JavaScript is not getting called, and I guess that's because we have a mistake with the file name here. It should be booklist JavaScript. Let's enter that and hit the run button again. We go on book, and great, we see our data table in place with the number of entries. We have pagination, sorting, and search by default. Here the stylings has not been applied. Let me go back and take a look. We forgot an equal to here. Let's save this, go back and refresh, and perfect. We see everything is coming along. Let me just reduce the size here. I'll make it 20. And we can make this 40. And width, let me make it 70 pixels in both the places. Let's save it and refresh, and perfect. This looks much aligned. When you hit the edit, it will take you to the edit page, and if you click on delete, right now nothing happens.